The message that is on my heart today that wants to come through is about unity. The miracles of unity. I guess first I want to introduce myself. I don't think I've done that yet. My name is April. I'm 28. I live in Texas. I'm currently working as a personal trainer. I'm in a bit of a void space right now where I'm closing out the old chapter and starting a new chapter. I've been here before, not necessarily in this same exact way or in this same profoundly deep level, but I have been in the unknown before, and I have created from the unknown before, like many of us have. This time feels a little different. It feels like I am more me. I am more conscious. I am more online to all of the little bits and pieces of myself that I hadn't paid attention to before. I'm learning how to integrate. And through this integration, I am becoming more deeply aware of what I truly want to create. I'm becoming aware of when my ego starts to come into the driver's seat and tries to create from the egoic desires and needs and wants, as opposed to my higher self creating from my heart space because it's what I am, and so it just naturally needs to express out of me. I've learned how to decipher, and so now I feel like I'm just on the edge of my seat, so excited for whatever is coming next, because I know that it's coming from a more aligned space with my heart and soul and not purely being driven by my ego. So I'm very excited about that. That's where I'm at this point in time. Okay, it's nice to meet you. I'd love to know your name and who you are and where you live and all this stuff. If you want to talk about it in the comments, I will read all of them and I'll be excited to learn more about you. Let me take a few centering breaths. The phrase I received last night as I was falling asleep, I can't remember it exactly. I wrote it down in my journal over there, but it was like to pay more attention to our similarities rather than our differences. And I got this because I was starting to fall into a shadowy spiral again. And this is a common theme I find myself in, where I'm like, nobody understands me, nobody understands who I am or what I really like to talk about. Nobody sees these hidden parts of myself. I'm all alone in this world. Like, that's like my teenage shadow that just resurfaces over and over and over again. And last night I was sitting with it, and almost immediately I snapped back into my heart, and I got this message from my heart that was saying, begin paying more attention to the similarities you have with others rather than the differences. And I feel like that's like, duh. But that immediately snapped me out of this like shadow spiral I was going into. And I was like, well, of course. Why would we not do that? I am all about unity and unconditional love and all of this. And there's even these little pieces of my shadow that come to the forefront that are asking me, is this a piece of you? Is this a story you want to continue to live within and be in pain and be in suffering and separation? Or is it time to surrender this story and step into a story of unification, of similarities, of unconditional love for the people around us? And we can start to integrate this in our everyday lives, just simply by the people who frustrate us, or the people who may view life differently than us, the people who we love. These are people that we love, but we view life so incredibly different from them. And sometimes we fall into a hole of feeling separate and feeling so completely different and alone that it's depressing. And in those moments, can we rather instead look at this person and look at the similarities that we have with these people, because these are people, hopefully, that are in our lives from a place of love, from a place of true connection, and trying to avoid bringing our old shadowy patterns into our new relationships and pure connections. And I thought that was really beautiful, and I'm guilty of doing this with almost everybody. We all do it. It's just that's what judgment is. When we're judging others, when we're saying, oh, I can't believe that they look at the world that way, that makes no sense to me, so we have nothing in common, I'm separate from them, I feel alone, rather than being like, wow, that's so fascinating that they view the world that way and I view the world this way. It's so beautiful that we can be so different and yet have all of these beautiful similarities at the same time. We share love with each other. That is a beautiful similarity that we have, is that we both love each other. We both want to have a beautiful relationship together. We like to laugh together. We like to play together. We like to go on road trips together. We like to do all of these beautiful things and experience life together. And it makes life more fulfilling and more entering life in from an open heart when we can begin to view the similarities that we have with other people, especially the people that we love, but especially also strangers and people that we have issues with, that we love on a soul level, but to our human, we're just like, okay, these people annoy me. Our ego wants to be like, I don't love that person. That person is like super annoying and I don't love that person. That's our ego, because our soul truly does love every single human being. So the more we can drop down into our heart and start to search for the similarities that we have with other humans, rather than trying to search for the differences, trying to look at, well, who are they voting for? What do they believe in? Do they believe in this or do they believe in that? Are they a Christian? Are they Jewish? Are they Muslim? Like, that's searching for the separation. That is searching for pain. That is searching for suffering. You are searching for suffering when you are looking for reasons to butt heads with people. You are calling more suffering and more pain into your life when you are viewing everybody with a lens of judgment, and you're looking for all of the ways in which they walk about the world and the way that they view the world and the beliefs that they hold and how they're so different from yours, and you can't even believe that they think that way. You are looking for the suffering in life. You're calling more suffering to you. Whereas when we can begin to view people from our heart space, view people the way our soul would view them, the way our highest self, our Christ self would view them, from a place of love. Like, wow, we are both on this incredible human journey together. We are both here on the earth at this time. We chose to be here together in this physical dimension and go through this crazy, wild, beautiful shift that humanity is going through right now. And I have so much honor and respect for them for choosing to be here at this time, just like I have so much honor and respect for myself for choosing to be here at this time. Because this is a challenging, as much as it's a beautiful time, it's also a very challenging and dark time. And so every soul that is here on this planet right now is courageous. We are all so courageous for choosing to be here at this time, because our soul, before incarnating, knew what we were choosing to dive into, knew what we were choosing to experience in this lifetime. And I think that's beautiful. And I think that that makes every single human on this planet brave and courageous and strong and powerful. And that is a beautiful similarity to have with every human being on this planet. No matter the political differences or religious views or whatever it is that brings up the triggers in you, it's just simply beautiful that we chose to come and experience this life at this time on this planet together. We chose to all be here together, and I think that's beautiful, and I think that is the best similarity of all. And of course there's others. We all love to laugh and find people. We love to laugh. Well, the people I surround myself with. I guess I can't speak for everybody, but for me, if I can just focus on the fact that I have people in my life who love to laugh, and I love to laugh, and people who love to tell jokes and be funny and playful and weird, and we like to watch the same silly movies and enjoy delicious baked desserts together. I don't know, just look for the similarities. Look for the love that you share with other people instead of the separation, and you'll attract more love and more harmony and more peace and more unity into your life. And I think this also goes for ourselves. When we look for the separation within ourselves, or we cause the separation within ourselves, whenever these uncomfortable emotions come up, which are just energies passing through our body. And when we try to suppress or deny something, we're splitting and separating ourselves, and we're living in separation. When we suppress or deny anything that arises, we are splitting ourselves back into separation. Separation from God, ultimately. That's why painful, this is what it represents to me. When something painful comes up, it represents to me that first initial feeling of separation from God. When we first created duality and we first felt like we had failed and separated from God, and God was going to be so mad at us. Not saying that this is true. I believe this is where our consciousness went when we created duality, and that's why we see so much separation and suffering. It's rooted all the way down to our very first perceived separation from God, when we thought, oh my gosh, what have we done? God is going to be so mad at us. When in reality, God can't even perceive of this reality, because God cannot perceive of anything except for the knowingness of God, which is unity and perfection and divinity. He has to hold that space for us to exist in and return to. If he acknowledged the pain and suffering, that would make it real, but it's not real. But that's why that's the father aspect of God. And then there's the mother aspect of God, whose womb we live inside, essentially. And she is the loving, nurturing force that chose to separate away from God with us to hold and protect us and reflect our beliefs back to us. The mother aspect of God is the womb we exist within, that is always and constantly reflecting back to us our own beliefs and desires, showing us our own power so that we can remember that we are powerful. We can remember that we are the creator of this reality, and then choose to empower ourselves and begin creating from a more conscious space. She loves us so much that when we believe we are disempowered, she just says, and so it is. And she reflects back to us our disempowerment, hoping for us to end the suffering and see that we are creating our own sense of disempowerment, and then we will choose to empower ourselves. It's like the flip side of the coin. When on one side of the coin, we're feeling disempowered. There's always a flip side of the coin. That is our ability to flip the coin and become the most empowered version of ourselves possible. So how did I get onto this topic? Yes, okay. So for me, when I'm having really painful emotions, it's like reliving that first feeling of feeling like I failed or separated from God, and I'm in so much suffering and perceived separation. It's like the falling from grace all over again. And when we deny that we feel that way, we're separating ourselves even further, which sounds like it makes no sense. But this is our creation. We cannot deny our creations, otherwise we're denying our ability to create. So when you have a super intense energetic experience or emotion and you deny it, you push it away, you're separating yourself from God by denying your ability to create. When you deny your creation, which is the energy that is in your flowing through your body that you are experiencing, when you deny that, you're simultaneously denying your ability to create, therefore separating yourself further from God, creating separation and suffering. Whereas when you go within yourself and you look at the darkness, you look at the pain and you comfort it, you become the divine mother. You mother yourself and you comfort yourself in these times of deep sorrow and these times of deep grief and perceived suffering. When you can comfort and reintegrate these aspects and these emotions, you're bringing yourself back into wholeness. So while it may look to your ego like you're giving in to the suffering because you are acknowledging it, it's actually the opposite. By acknowledging it, you're bringing it and pulling it back into wholeness with yourself and reaffirming your ability to create by acknowledging it and then comforting it. It's like you create a baby that you don't like and so you just throw it away. That's kind of a weird analogy. That's what you're doing to yourself when you're denying and suppressing emotions. It's like you just created this baby and now you don't like it, so you're throwing it away. Whereas what we want to do is view all of this as opportunities to see how powerful we are, even though we created something that to our ego we don't like because it doesn't feel good. We can still see, wow, I am so powerful that I have convinced myself that I am unworthy. And through this convincing of myself that I am unworthy, I am feeling deep grief. I am feeling deep sadness. I am feeling this deep sense of separation from God. And that's how powerful we are, is that we can create our own perceived separation from God. We never actually separated from God, but we're powerful enough to make it look like we did. We must affirm and reintegrate that feeling in order to come back into wholeness with our power, in order to come back into wholeness, into a perceived wholeness with God. I am praying and hoping this is making sense. So, coming into unity with those around us, our external world, but most importantly, coming back into unity with ourselves, coming back into unity with the aspects and the emotions within us that we have shunned or suppressed and separated ourselves from, therefore re-experiencing the separation from God over and over and over again. Whereas if we could just acknowledge these emotions as perhaps things we don't enjoy or that are not comfortable, but acknowledging that we are so powerful that we can create even these intense emotions that we don't like, now we can flip the coin and be like, okay, so what's on the other side of this deep, deep, deep sense of grief? What is on the flip side of the coin? A deep, deep sense of joy. Right? So our capacity to experience and feel this deep, deep, deep grief is simultaneously our capacity now to feel the deep, deep, deep joy. Because we live in a dualistic world, we can only experience the light as much as we have let ourselves experience the dark. The deeper we go into the depth of our darkness, the deeper we go into our perceived suffering, the deeper we let ourselves surrender to it and just feel it and comfort ourselves as we feel it and move through it, the deeper now our capacity to hold the opposite, the dualistic, the other side of the coin. So now we have that same capacity for feeling joy or whatever it is for you. So truly, by surrendering to your darkness, by surrendering to the suffering that you hold within you, by surrendering to this deep sense of separation, by surrendering to your perceived separation from God, source, spirit, the deeper it will be that you reintegrate yourself with God, source, spirit in this dimensional realm. The deeper your ability, the deeper your capacity to hold the presence of God. The deeper your ability and capacity to hold the presence of spirit, to hold the presence of source, the more courageous you are in the depth of your shadow, the more gifted you will be in your capacity to hold that source frequency. Wow. That's kind of really beautiful. Yeah. Okay. So that's the end. I'll come up with better ways to end these. I said, that's the end. It just kind of stopped flowing. So I'm like, okay, it's over. Okay, so let's close our eyes and take some breaths together. We'll place our hand on our heart. Let's sit with what did resonate. Any new sensation in your heart space, any spark of resonance, sit with that. Water that seed. Anything that did not resonate, anything that did not make sense or you did not agree with, just throw it away. Forget about it. You don't have to resonate with the whole message. Throw away anything that didn't resonate. Anything that did resonate, let's sit with it and breathe and water that seed that was just planted within us. Following our breath. Dropping deeply, deeply into our heart center at this time, trying to get out of the mind. Into the heart. Hand on the heart, breathing into that space as if there is a nose in your heart that you can breathe through. And just allowing whatever sensation or spark of life or love that was planted in your heart to expand. One more deep breath, as deep as you can. Hold at the top. And on the way out, we're gonna make a sound out of our mouth. One more, just the same. Breathe in, hold at the top. And breathe out, make a sound. Thank you so much for being here with me and for receiving this message with me. Wow. Yeah, thank you. And I will see you tomorrow.